Hey, welcome back to another Just 15 Mins. So it's been a little while, actually. I've had a little bit of a break. But what have we got? Well, we're looking at all of these automation tools that have got lots and lots and lots and lots of airplay on things like YouTube, etc. But also where a lot of these automation platforms, including, good old Zapier that's been around for a long time, hasn't it? They've all jumped on the bandwagon, obviously, and become AI workflows or AI agents. And of course, the sort of darling of these AI workflows, and still a very good favorite of mine, is things like n8n. There's absolutely well, it feels like there's millions of videos on YouTube for n8n going into way more detail than I'm going to cover. However, they, apart from a few that I've seen, they all make it look so easy, like, oh, it's all no code. You don't need to know anything. You can just wire it all up. And to be honest, yeah, you can. You can get so far. And that's what I wanted to come to today, because there's a new kid on the block for the AI agent workflow, whatever you're going to call it. And that's something called string.com, which is actually really from another sort of, well, it isn't another, it's the same company, Pipedream, okay, which is this one here. And I started using Pipedream before I knew about n8n. So it's a good 3 or 4 years ago. And Pipedream, a bit like all of these sort of platforms, essentially on the face of it, it's like Zapier or Zapier, whichever way you want to call it. You can hook up all sorts of different things like e-commerce platforms. There's so many different applications. Now, interestingly, I work for a company called Codeless Platforms that have got a product called BPA Platform. And even though it's got similarities to a lot of these things I'm about to show, it is more aimed at the, dare I say, the professional sort of larger company side of things, where you're connecting to ERP systems like accounting systems, ERP systems, things like that, which I've noticed there's some that do connect to some of the smaller accounting systems, but yeah, there's that's my sort of background. But at the same time, building an AI agent workflow, unless you want to drill down into the code level, a lot of these things, all of them that I'm showing today, are actually very good, because you can get a long way with building in a no code environment. But therein lies the point of this video, is that can you really build everything without knowing a single line of code? Well, to be honest, I don't think so. And it doesn't mean it's an elitist sort of situation, because it really isn't rocket science either. But if things like JSON and JavaScript, Node.js don't mean anything to you, then you may struggle a little bit. But the good news is, there's a lot of people out there that will have way more experience than I have. But I do know JavaScript pretty well. I know JSON pretty well. I know how to get going with Node.js and all that sort of stuff. So, that's one thing that I've been looking at doing, is showing that it isn't as scary as a lot of people sort of think. So, that's really where I'm going, because Pipedream, not Pipedrive, that's a CRM, I believe. Pipedream is actually surprisingly very good. You can add all these integrations. Let's have a look, because I've got one. So, sorry, just a step back. I should just explain. I'm essentially just really reviewing things like Zapier. To be honest, I think Zapier, if you're a complete no code, I don't want to understand what JavaScript is and all the rest of it, then honestly, I still think that Zapier is the way you can go. You can build a lot of really interesting workflows, AI agent workflows with Zapier these days, and it's got a lot of really good stuff. You can, like we mentioned, AI agents. You can build agents to do whatever it is, and let's face it, that's a little bit overused now, isn't it? But you can build your own AI chatbots to essentially do like customer self-serve type of things and hook it all up. But also they've got things like really easy sort of database tables that you can use, which is really quite good, actually, I have to say. And things like interfaces for building, well, if you've got all of these AI agents and data tables behind the scenes, you can build your own sort of interface with a really intuitive drag and drop form builder to tie into that. And of course, you can put your chatbot in there that it's showing you on the screen at the moment. And it is actually still probably one of the easiest, less friction ways of getting started with all of this stuff. However, like everything, when you want to go and drop down a level to actually do something a bit more custom, that's where you get things like Pipedream. And certainly, again, still one of my favorites is n8n, because you've got this lovely sort of drag and drop sort of environment that you can pick from absolutely goodness knows what, how many applications. And of course, over the last couple of years or so, they've really pivoted to become a essentially like an agent workflow. The reason I like n8n, well, there's a few reasons. It's open source. There is obviously a paid platform that n8n offer to. You can just run it in their environment. But what I do like about it is the fact that you can run n8n in a Docker container. If this means nothing to you, don't worry. Again, let me know in the comments about this and how you would get started with some of this code stuff. I can certainly try to pull things together to help there. But yeah, you can run a Docker container in your local environment. And when I say local environment, I've got this running on my local machine with it's not a clever big machine, by the way. But when I say local, I mean that you could run this in your own environment. So if you don't want it hosted by a third party, you can control this in your own environment, including the paid version, actually. So if you want to take advantage of some of the paid options of things like n8n, that you can still run self-host, as they call it. But the idea is that Pipedrive came out with something called string.com. Now, it's technically, in fact, when you're in Pipedrive, and we'll open up an option in a second, it actually is part of, did I say Pipedrive again? I keep saying Pipedrive, goodness me. Pipedream. You can edit the flows, but you can also use the string.com, which when you look, actually, when you go into it a little bit further, this will actually, you can actually go into Pipedream and do closer edits, essentially. Okay, so that's the thing. The string.com sort of just emerged on the scene very recently of the time of this recording. They've been working away at it because, like I said, Pipedream has been there for some time and it's very good. They've got obviously a lot of customers, but they've obviously realized what n8n are doing with the whole agent workflows, and they've jumped on board and said, well, look, hang on a minute, how about you literally use natural language text to build your automations? And before I actually do finally get into this, n8n behind the scenes, and again, if you don't know what JSON is, it's not going to mean much to you, but it really is just a data structure to store all of this application. And the idea is, I saw a really good video. I'll try to find the link. And you can actually use ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever you want to call your AI flavor, to actually create that raw JSON that becomes essentially all of this. Okay, so behind here, if I was to go to export, for instance, okay, or import or whatever, behind the scenes, there is all of this is one big JSON files describing what the workflow does and all the triggers and all the things that it goes through. Okay, so the video I watched actually did generate this JSON, and you could actually then import it through here. You can literally import the JSON, and it did a fairly good job, but you had to put a lot of effort in to creating a really strong requirements document of what you really wanted to do, and you had to be very specific. And I'll be honest, if you're hoping to do that without any technical code knowledge, I think you're still going to struggle. Okay, and that's where string from Pipedream comes in. So now I've got things like Telegram as a trigger. You can use, there's so many things that you can do. So I'm going to say a simple workflow with a Telegram trigger on a chat to go and find a funny joke about whatever is typed in, and yeah, return the joke back to the Telegram chat. Okay, so interestingly, where we was trying to do this before with n8n, which would generate the JSON that you then imported, this is taking it one step further. And of course, as you notice, there's no JSON at the moment. There's no nothing. So if I give this a go, okay, it's going to, now it is in alpha. I do need to sign in, so I'm just going to do that very quickly. So here we are. I've just logged in to my Pipedream account, which is what string is. And you can see there in the URL, by the way, when you log in, it is actually pipedream.com/string. Okay. So if we give that a go, it's going to do the usual sort of AI type of thing, and essentially start to build a process flow. But while it's doing that, if I have a look at Pipedream, that's where you can see the projects. You can actually create them yourselves here. So, and the good thing is these will interoperate with each other. So you can actually go and edit a little bit manually in this side, but then you can also, as you can see there, look, build with AI. So you can actually use it from here or from within string. It is the same ultimate sort of company after all. And by the way, all of this, including n8n as well, is able to be source controlled. Again, if that means nothing to you, it's okay, but it uses sort of a Git source control, they call it, and it can save all of these different steps where you're at. So you could do a little bit, make sure you save it of that version, do the next bit, and it lets you roll back or you know, do a little bit of checking that way, so that if you make a mistake you can roll back to the last step. So it's got all of that, so that's including things like n8n as well. So you can see it's got a plan, set up a Telegram bot API trigger. Now I'll be honest, I've already set up a set of credentials for Telegram and for OpenAI, for instance. They're not difficult, but again, you know, let me know in the comments. I'm going to go through to show all of these steps. So if you want to know about that, about actually getting started properly from ground zero, then certainly let me know. But as you can see, Telegram bot is going to listen for a new message. It's going to add an OpenAI step. Though, by the way, you're not limited just to OpenAI. You could use other AI platforms as well. And then it's going to use Telegram to send back the funny remark back. So I'm going to say, yeah, approve that plan. But notice I haven't had to do any code yet. I haven't had to do any JSON. I haven't had to do any sort of configuration. So, and again, you can see it's going through, it's going to try to basically create this structure for me, this workflow for me. But while it is doing that, I will just pop back into here. And again, just to show in n8n, none of this is difficult. And I have to say, I like n8n's sort of agent component because it's very visual. You can see I've got a chat model, I've got OpenAI there, I've got my Telegram trigger. In some ways, it's a nicer UI environment, but where Pipedream with string might win is the fact that it really does make it very fluid from just natural text to be typed in to create the flows. Like I said, when you want to get down to the detail, you're probably still opening up that box of needing to know what JSON is, some of the JSON structures. Again, not rocket science, this stuff, it really isn't. But anyway, the idea is, this is very nice to actually design with, essentially. So anyway, enough of the talk. Let's go back and see. Right, okay, there we go. It's created. Now, it's still a flow. Like I said, it doesn't look like n8n, but you can see it's created a Telegram bot message trigger. It's going to generate a funny remark and then send a response back. That's all I asked for. Okay. Now, notice that you can open in Pipedream there as well. So if I actually go to Pipedream and do a look at my projects here, if I just refresh this, what you'll probably notice is there's my actual project. So if I just click that to open it, I can open this at the same time. And this is the normal Pipedream environment that you would normally have used. Okay, which obviously looks a little bit different to what we did there because we did that through everything in text. But as I mentioned, because it is essentially the same thing, the same company, I can actually go and really work with a lot of the detail if I want to, and it reflects back to string.com as well, which again is really pipedream.com string. Yeah, it's not a very professional video, is it? Anyway, let's give this a go. Let's test that. Okay. Apologies, we've gone over 15 minutes, but I'll stop talking very soon. But it's really just to give you a breakdown of how far you can get with literally no coding. So it's trying to run a test of the trigger, which I presume is this Telegram. Now, I think it's going to fail because I haven't actually been specific and said, here's my credentials for Telegram. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there was an error testing that step. So that's fine. And I'm sure that it will, yeah, you're out of AI tech. There's the other thing as well. Obviously, I'm using a free version, but essentially, what I really wanted to get over, it wasn't really about building anything in this video, but I will, if you want to let me know in the comments below. There's loads of these out there, but I'm trying to do this for, somebody who really does want to see the full detail. And like I say, there are a few out there, but a lot of them tend to gloss over, a bit like what I've done here. But this is really just a comparison video of Zapier, Pipedream, string, and n8n. But the fact of the matter is, you can start to see where this is going. It's going to start to build. If I hadn't run out of tokens, it would start to say, well, look, I know what the error is. You've missed a credential set there. You've probably missed a credential set at the OpenAI step as well. But you can then deploy this, and you can essentially build working AI agent workflows. But like I said, there's still a little bit of code inside here, and that's the thing. I've got triggers and there's all sorts of things going on where you would really need to know, well, how do I even generate all of these, models, and how do I get the API keys and all that sort of stuff. So that's where it really comes back to Zapier is still leading the way for a complete novice from any sort of code understanding. You still need to know a little bit of technical stuff, but maybe not as much as things like Pipedream and maybe even String, to be fair. You still need to know a little bit what's going on behind the scenes. But anyway, that's what we've got so far for today. Like I say, let me know in the comments. I'll definitely be happy to do more detailed about building some of this infrastructure, you know, bit by bit from the ground up, because I think that's the important bit, is where do I even, you know, what is JSON? What do I need to know? What level do I need to know? And certainly where do I need to go and find all these credentials to actually wire all this type of stuff up? But anyway, but it's a fascinating time, isn't it? So I'm going to leave it there. Have a good day or good week, and I will catch you on the next one.